Good morning, everybody.
Now, Chris Duel.
You made it all the way to Friday. Give yourself a pat on the back. Hallelujah. And praise Tom Landry, one of the football gods on high, who looks down upon us and showers us with football blessings. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, and man, oh man, oh man, the NBA just gets weirder and weirder and weirder on and off the court. One of the many things we'll talk about this morning. Once again, your final opportunity this week to win Eric Clapton tickets. We'll get into that. But first and foremost, let us introduce to you, direct from the Bonneville Salt Flats, the salty one, her saltiness, Shannon Salty Sweeney. What is up?
Good morning, sir. I am glad it's Friday. It's been a long week, but looking forward to an eventful weekend, the watch party tomorrow with Austin FC. I'm sure town will be buzzing. In fact, tonight, for all of those in Austin, there's a special Noche Verde thing going on downtown. Apparently above Congress and Lady Bird Lake, there's going to be a drone show in honor of the first match tomorrow.
Wow.
At Stadium. And then, of course, we've got Texas baseball making their appearance in Omaha on Sunday night.
So is that a night game on Sunday for Texas baseball?
Well, 6 o'clock. So nighttime for me.
Nighttime for you. Yeah. Even though the sun doesn't go down till like 8:40 these days. But yeah, no, that's nighttime for a lot of people. So man, what a weekend. Now, all right, let me back up a little bit. A drone show in honor of San Antonio FC. Is that just like a bunch of drones in the sky with lights? What's that going to be?
I think so. There's not a ton of information on it. If you're part of the ATX Austin FC Insider, which is kind of like a weekly flyer that they send to your email, they have, little things that are going on throughout the week, and that was one of them, but it didn't have like a click here for more info. It said click here to add to calendar. So I did that, and it just says Noche Verde show, Congress Avenue in Lady Bird Lake.
Okay.
8:45.
They're gonna have to work on their marketing skills.
After the bats make their escape.
Yes.
The sun has officially set. The sky will be lit. I think this is part with Captain Morgan, which is a huge Austin FC sponsor. But I'm looking forward to it because I've seen like the Olympics, I think, is where we first really saw a huge drone show.
Yeah.
And I know one of our sister stations, I forget where, they did like an iHeart drone show.
Cool.
So they're becoming a thing. And I've never seen one in person, and I'm fascinated by drones. I've seen one drone at a time, but I've never seen multiple make a show out of it.
That is very cool.
I'm making my plans to be downtown tonight. Well,
I would imagine, and you're quite the social media guru or maven or whatever we want to call you. You're all over social media, TikTok, Twitter, probably Snap. Do you do Snapchat? I don't even know. I don't think you do. I think you poo-poo Snapchat.
I did Snapchat in college, and at that point it wasn't really social media. It was more just messaging with your friends. I think now you get like followers and things like that. But yeah, I know I'm not.
Yeah, I've tried to get into Snapchat. I've got an account and I try, but it just doesn't work for me. All right, so I would assume though, given your social media mad skills, certainly on Twitter, certainly on Instagram, and on TikTok, I imagine if that drone show is cool and if it is camera friendly, I know it'll be at night, and sometimes our little iPhones don't capture what we would like them to at night, but I look forward to maybe seeing some of the action tonight.
Yes, I will certainly do my best, but for all those in town, 8:45, Congress, Lady Bird Lake area, be looking up in the sky.
All right. There's so much to talk about in the NBA. On the court, the Milwaukee Bucks rose to the occasion last night in Milwaukee, and they sent that Brooklyn series to a 7th game, which will be on Saturday. Just another part of this big sports weekend we've begun to talk about this morning. But before we even get into that, Shannon, I got to believe it was a jaw dropper for you. You're a Dallas Mavericks fan. I was surprised in this offseason where coaches are dropping like flies, most of them fired. Rick Carlisle, who has a ring to his credit, who brought a championship to the Dallas Mavericks. Yesterday, it is reported Rick Carlisle resigning as the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. You and I were talking yesterday about Donnie Nelson leaving after 24 years as the GM and this new friend, associate of Mark Cuban, who was a former gambler who Cuban brought into the organization in 2018, and he is acquiring more and more influence in the organization. You got to wonder if this played into Rick Carlisle's decision. But as a Mavericks fan, and in fact, it was you who sent me this information yesterday when this story broke, still looking for your Dallas Maverick fan perspective on the leaving of Rick Carlisle.
It is unsettling. Usually the coach gets fired or they retire, or it's a mutual parting of ways due to issues with contract negotiations. And this was simply, no thanks, I'm done here. Wow. I've had enough. So I'm worried about that front office. I'm worried about what effect that front office is going to have on the roster, the potential to get new players, the potential to keep current players that we'd like to keep. There's some players I could do without. But it's certainly alarming. And, just what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago, when there was already a little bit of turmoil with some harassment allegations that were going on. So it's just not great. And so I'll be pointing the finger elsewhere during the Salty Shakedown on another team that's having what I would think of worse problems to make me feel better about myself. And I'm not a happy camper right now.
Yeah. And I need to memorize this dude's name. And I said it yesterday. I didn't really know his name until 2 days ago when there was a report in The Athletic just talking about Luka Doncic and how Luka doesn't love this guy. And he's, really acquired a lot of power. He was a gambler. He was in the World Series of Poker in addition to gambling on NBA basketball. According to the report in The Athletic, he made a ton of money, then lost all of his money about 2003, then further embraced analytics and then made a lot more money gambling on NBA games. And then he was hired. It's so weird to hear, this guy came from gambling and he was hired by Mark Cuban, initially as an analytics guy for the Dallas Mavericks, but apparently those who have knowledge of the inner workings of the Dallas Mavericks say his title does not really currently reveal the power he has amassed in that Mavericks organization. His name is Haralobos Vulgaris.
That's a mouthful. Like a villain name.
Yeah, right. It does sound like a villain name. Apparently, though, he goes by the name Bob. Apparently,
see, that
yes.
Makes it worse.
Woo!
Right?
Hey, man, I am Haralogos Vulgaris. You can call me Bob. Very nice. He is a Greek-Canadian former gambler, and he is now, his official title right now, Director of Quantitative Research and Development for the Dallas Mavericks.
That must be code for puppeteer.
Yeah. And I can only guess, and obviously, Shannon, I'm speculating, but this guy has really emerged in the news this week, or initially that Luka's not getting along with him. Then Donnie Nelson goes away, longtime 24-year general manager. Then now Rick Carlisle. And I wonder what's going on in that Mavericks organization.
See, Mark Cuban, money can't buy happiness. And if it can, you got a lot of people that you need to go make happy right now with all that money you make from all your Shark Tank dealings and appearances. I need you to focus up on your number one job here.
And I've learned to like, I used to not like Mark Cuban. He was a rival of the Spurs. I always thought he was a little a little too brash, a little too cocky when he was younger, going after the powers that be in the NBA.
I think his kids mellowed him out a little bit.
Okay. And then over the years, again, full picture, I did notice he was doing a lot of things for the troops, not only through the Mavericks, but on the side. And, then I paid more attention to him via Shark Tank. I saw on social media, he's very accessible, like a regular person will ask him a question and he'll respond and engage them. So I've over the years, learned to admire him. I like him. Clearly, he's a brilliant businessman and a multi-millionaire. So again, and you talk about trying to right this ship, Shannon, he would seem to have all the assets and all the talent to find a way to get this right with the Mavericks. But man, things seem very, very weird at the moment.
I'm not having a great day. I love that we're talking about this.
Yeah. Well,
I love it.
Well, things
definitely what I thought we would be talking about.
Yeah.
After we got off air.
Exactly. Yeah. How weird. But all right. And we'll get back to this because it's maybe off the court currently the biggest story in the NBA in an offseason where now 7 head coaching vacancies have opened, and it motivates our poll question. In fact, we can just go there right now before we talk about what happened on the court last night in the NBA. Shannon, and I know we talk about her a lot, and I know part of it's because she's an assistant coach in San Antonio, so she's in the neighborhood. But I think, she is perhaps poised to make NBA and sports and cultural history. So I think even if we weren't in Austin, San Antonio, and across the state of Texas, I think she's still a big deal, and she has to do with our poll question this morning.
Yes, and thanks to Rick Carlisle leaving the Mavs, we now have 7 NBA head coaching vacancies. So we're asking, will Spurs assistant Becky Hammon become one of the new head coaches this offseason? Simple question and answer, yes or no. I'm not sure where we currently stand because I haven't voted yet.
Yeah. Well, and I just...
So get over to Ticket 760, name 1300 on the Zone Twitter.
Amen. And I just basic numbers, Shannon, just basic math. The more head coaching openings I think you have to believe, the higher the possibility, or maybe use the term probability, that Becky Hammon becomes a head coach this offseason. If there were 3 openings, you'd go, she's interviewing for Portland and Orlando. If there were 5, you go, ooh, that's more than 3. That's a bigger, and now we're at 7. Mm-hmm. So, gosh, it's, and there's, I pay close attention to the national media, to how people are reporting on the coaching openings and the Becky Hammon story, and others like Dawn Staley. There are other women, we've talked about them, who are being theoretically considered for NBA head coaching opportunities. It does seem right now, and it's not even the off season yet. We're still in the midst of not even the conference finals yet, but in this post regular season, Shannon, it does seem to be a bigger national story than ever before. The prospect of a woman becoming a head coach in the NBA sooner than later.
Yeah. And I think that's all signs pointing towards it's coming. Be ready. No surprises here, right? Because the story, if this wasn't talked about and it just happened, I think you'd get unreasonable outrage, but I think you'd get outrage because there will still be people who are upset by it. They need to get it together and come into this century, but there will be people that are upset by it.
And I am 0.5% Neanderthal. I know Neanderthals, my people. Yeah, my people, the Neanderthals, may be upset about Becky becoming a head coach. And I'm not kidding. I did 23andMe, and I can show you officially I am 0.5% Neanderthal. So ever since I found that out, Shannon.
It's amazing you can speak, sir.
I know. Ooga, saka, hooga.
Today and everything.
Yes. But see, now I see those Geico caveman commercials, and I get a little upset. I kind of feel like they're poking fun at my people. I'm just saying. Those are my people. The Neanderthals.
I get that way about some things about my
heritage. And
people, so I get that.
and the late, great Phil Hartman on Saturday Night Live with Frozen Caveman Lawyer, which was a recurring bit. All right. We're near the end of this segment, but let's touch upon it, and we'll go deeper a little bit later in the show. The Milwaukee Bucks showed up last night, and you and I both thought that the way they lost in Brooklyn, the way Kevin Durant took over, you and I both thought, even though no team had lost at home in this series between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks, you and I both picked Brooklyn to win this series. Las Vegas picked Brooklyn to win this game, and therefore the series last night. But Bucks dominated last night. They win the game 104-89. And a guy I kind of dogged going into the series as not being a true star, once again makes me eat my words, and I will joyously eat my words in this case. I was wrong. Chris Middleton, once again, my God, a double-double for Chris Middleton, 38 points, 10 rebounds. Giannis needs help if the Bucks are going to beat the Nets. He got it last night from Chris Middleton, and Shannon, they go to a game 7 on Saturday night in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to this. I think, you mentioned it, Chris Middleton stepping up and playing like a superstar. Therefore, you've got two superstars, Chris Middleton and Giannis, which 2 is greater than the 1.5 that the Nets currently have with Kevin Durant, who, no, he didn't have an all-star game like he had the night before, which was unbelievable, but he still played like the superstar he is. And then half of a James Harden, who put up more points but was not as effective dishing the ball and getting those rebounds, and certainly wasn't effective on the defensive end. And then the Bucks also had him with help. I mean, the Nets are next to nothing without their superstars. But Drew Holiday stepped up for the Bucks last night. And then I think also you have to take in consideration, the Bucks coaching staff and the Bucks themselves were, why weren't we doubling KD in that last game? Why did Harden was a shell of himself. Why did we play him so hard and not double down on KD? Well, you still had to respect Harden. You didn't know what he was going to give you with that first game back with that injury. And so I think they kind of adjusted after seeing him play in that first game. And I think rightfully so realized that he's not going to be running up and down the court and not going to be shooting the way he usually does or driving the ball the way he usually does with that injury. So they could back off of him a little bit and play a little more sound defense all the way around. So I think that benefited them. And then I think on the other side, Steve Nash, first-time head coach, didn't think ahead and kind of make those adjustments to realize, okay, this is what I have in Harden right now. He's not the same. They've noticed. They've had to at this point. I mean, everyone's throwing it in their face. They're going to probably make some adjustments, so we're probably going to need to make some adjustments here, and I don't think that happened for him.
Lots to talk about on and off the court in the NBA. We'll talk NFL football. Coach A, Paul Alexander, going to join us just after 7. Speaking of the NFL, from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, James Allen, just after 8 o'clock. Astros win again last night. They score a bunch of runs again. They beat the Chicago White Sox 10-2. We'll get into the Astros and Major League Baseball as well. Coming up, your high five play of the day. And don't forget, also in the 8 o'clock hour, your final chance this week to win Eric Clapton tickets. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. We will introduce our soundscape stylist to you in the next segment. It's not Dave Ayler. It's somebody special. Well, not that Dave's not special, but it's somebody who is also special. We'll introduce him to you coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're with you till 9 on a Friday. It's the Chris Duel Show. Gordon, good morning from Port Aransas. Wow, watching the sunrise on the beach. How cool. And Gordon, happy anniversary to you and your lovely bride. I saw that on Facebook yesterday. I think 31 years. Am I remembering that correctly? Hopefully. Foamfoot 420, looks like you got in here first at the very beginning. Welcome in. Anthony Del Toro. Laura Burris, welcome. From the San Antonio Food Bank, haven't seen Laura in a while. Hector Gomez, John Williams from Dallas says happy Juneteenth, although that's tomorrow, but we're not on tomorrow, so I know you're being preemptive on that. Big news on that yesterday in Congress. It's now a national holiday. Jason Paniagua, Steve Duraco, good morning. Lucinda Sullivan, the patron saint of coffee drinking. I may have to go get some here in a sec. Luisa Alanis, good morning. Sam Tobias, welcome in. Tracy Bogert, the chairman of the Bexar County MAGA Republicans, and Marjorie Taylor Greene enthusiasts, regular guest on the Jack Riccardi Show. Mr. Tracy Bogert, welcome in. Also I think he's the vice president of the San Antonio Coronavirus Deniers and Mask Shamers. Is always good to have him in. And he's part of the Bexar County Coalition to re-elect Governor Greg Abbott as the governor of Texas. He's very politically involved. Tracy Bogert, everybody. All right. I feel the need for coffee. Back by popular demand. There's our "We'll be right back" slide. Everybody loves it. I get emails. I get direct messages saying, "Bring back that 'We'll be right back' slide," because you can't get enough of it. I am a coffee snob, therefore I pour the last of my. I'm running out of Black Rifle coffee. I got to decide if I'm going to go get more or not. Fun, fun, fun. Well, I'm going to go get some coffee. You enjoy the "We'll be right back" slide. Beth Settle, good morning. Wow, that's a very cool story, Tracy. Very good that Black Rifle Coffee did that. Javier had asked Commissioner's Court for the money, and Republican Trish DeBerry was irate and stated it was wrong to get a boat with taxpayer money. So then Black Rifle donates $32,000 for the boat, and Trish DeBerry says Javier shouldn't take it. Come on, Trish. I've met Trish DeBerry. I've had her in the studio many years ago when I was at another radio station. So that's too bad. Not to be political on a sports show, but who in their right mind turns down free stuff? Yeah. Especially since you didn't want to allocate the money for the boat, Trish. And again, I like Trish DeBerry, but disagree with her on that. Okay, I got to find something here. I'm tweeting out what Shannon and I are about to talk about as the high five. All right, there's that. Jason's on YouTube. Had to switch to YouTube. Why did you have to switch to YouTube, Jason? Here we come. Oh, yeah. Little Prince for you in the morning. I love me some Prince Rodgers Nelson. Sirius XM currently has a limited edition Prince channel, and I love Prince. His 1999 album, which dropped in 1981, I think it's one of the greatest albums ever produced on the face of this earth. Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney, your soundscape stylist. I can't believe this guy would drop some Prince on us. Can't believe he's that eclectic and hip, but he is. He is the pride of Oklahoma Christian University only because he turned down a scholarship to full ride scholarship to Oklahoma Satanic University because he just did not agree with carving pentagrams into the palm of his hand. You got to set for your senior class project. You got to sacrifice a goat at midnight out on the campus square. So it's a weird school, Oklahoma Satanic University. So instead, he chose Oklahoma Christian University, of which someday there will be a statue of him out front, because I am hoping when Matthew McConaughey, after being governor of Texas, becomes president of the United States, signs into legislation a law that every high school and college must have a statue of its most distinguished graduate in front of the university. He's the one, the only, the beautiful, the talented, the boy wonder, and nephew of Pro Football Hall of Famer Dan Fouts, in my mind anyway, Jeremy Fouts. Jeremy, what is up?
Good morning, you two. Happy Friday, and also happy not only International Picnic Day, but also International Panic Day.
Panic?
Yeah, so apparently you were supposed to relax today and not panic. Maybe by having a picnic.
No, picnic. You got to get everything at once. Put it in a basket. Make sure it fits. Make sure it travels well. Make sure you've got the temperature right.
Yep.
Especially right now. With the temperatures we're dealing with, that egg salad's going to go bad real quick. Okay.
That's true.
And then, where are you doing it at a table? Are you doing it at a park? You have to sit in the grass. Has the grass cut? Are there ants? You got to do a real good check of the ground you're going to be sitting on. There's a lot that's stressing me out just thinking about all.
Are there
the
mosquitoes?
details.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do I need to come prepared? How many weapons do I need to bring with me to battle the elements of the outside?
Beautiful. And the worst part, if you're going to picnic, what if somebody's picnicking near you and you just don't like them? What if they're
I
loud?
didn't invite you to my picnic.
Yeah. What if they've got kids? So, well, and it wasn't a picnic, and not to go off on a rant, but just real quick, it's not even a rant. Just, I'm at the pool yesterday, Shannon, with my good friend Steve Duraco, The Rock, who often joins us on Facebook Live. And for the longest time, it was just me and him, just two dudes hanging out. We got on these floats and we're just talking sports.
Two dudes in their floaties.
Two dudes in their floaties, yeah. And then all of a sudden, some mom, and God love her, I'm sure she's a great mom. Some mom comes in with her two boys who are just loud and obnoxious and screaming and shrieking and it's like solitude is so underrated. Solitude is a beautiful. Why do kids have to go to a pool and just be loud and obnoxious? And the worst ever is Marco Polo. Is that Marco Polo? Marco! God, I hate that game.
It's not fun.
It's
you just
stupid.
walk around. It's very dumb.
Yeah.
Why are they not in camp?
I know, exactly.
That poor mom.
Yeah.
What, week 2 of summer?
Yeah. And and there's a reason I don't have kids. If I ever had a child and he or she played Marco Polo in a pool, 3-week restriction. You're not going to inflict that upon other pool goers who want to enjoy themselves. Hearing you scream Marco Polo at a pool. All right. Sorry. I've got issues. I'll work Kauai and kids at a pool. Things I need to talk to a therapist about.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeremy, welcome on board. I apologize. I should be in a better mood on a Friday. I think I am, but okay. Sorry.
I always
All
look
right.
forward to Jeremy's
What day is it? Celebrations.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Picnic day and panic day.
Yes.
So will you be playing Panic at the Disco at some point?
Can.
Yes, I'm
That's
gonna
a
send
good
you a
idea.
song. I'm gonna send you a song.
Yeah,
Cool.
please do, because I don't know them well enough.
And
There's
then
some good songs that make good intro.
we have a reason to play Panic at the Disco. All right. We do this every morning at this time because we should, because somebody deserves a high five. And the last several high five plays of the day have gone to an athlete, a college or professional athlete. That's not going to be the case today. Here it is, your high five play of the day. High five, not just the name of the segment, not just what we are doing, both physically and metaphorically, but high five a great location, actually 2 great locations in Austin. Shannon knows them well. In fact, if you're not going to the Austin FC match at Q2 Stadium, I guess that's Saturday in Austin? Saturday. Well, then you should be at High Five with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Tell us about it.
Should be, because we've got drink specials going on in the $15 craft pitchers, $12 domestic pitchers, and $5 12-inch pizzas, as well as specialty drinks that are made just for the match. So come by, check them out. Get there early. Unlimited arcade games for $10.
Woo!
And don't forget the axe throwing competition. If you can hit a bullseye, you're registered to win a $50 high five gift card. And if you really, 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 really want to go to the game, there is a very small chance that you still can. Because if you head over to am1300thezone.com/contest, we have a chance for you to register to win tickets to that game.
Woo!
Get over there and register. But for the thousands upon thousands of people, and I'm one of them, who don't have season tickets, High Five is a great option to watch the game. Weather should be nice. It's an evening game, so we can hang out on the patio together and watch it. And getting to today's High Five play of the day. Chris, you sent me this, and I think this was something that was originally supposed to happen about a year ago, and then COVID shut it down. So I think he's finally now paying off this bet. But this gentleman, who happens to also be, I guess, a reporter and maybe a podcaster, is paying off a fantasy bet that is taking the Twitter world by storm this morning. Sir, I'll let you get into the details here.
Well, and Shannon, and you and I have done this. We love part of the fun of a fantasy competition. And Shannon and Tanner and Andy Everett and I are in a fantasy golf competition right now for the U.S. Open. It's
not going well for any of us.
Good point. But the weekend is young. Part of the fun is for the loser to have a punishment. It's one thing to win your fantasy football league and maybe you get some money and maybe a trophy and certainly bragging rights. But it's also fun to say, all right, the loser, whoever comes in last, gets a punishment. And this, I just tweeted out, Shannon, this may be the greatest fantasy sports punishment ever. And you mentioned Lee Sanderlin, and Lee Sanderlin on his Twitter page says he's from Jackson, Mississippi. He writes for the Clarion Ledger. He writes, he's an investigative reporter. He writes politics. As you mentioned, he's a podcaster. He tweeted out yesterday from a Waffle House with a photo of looks like a relatively empty, other than employees, Waffle House. And I will read you his tweet. He writes, I am coming to you live from a Brandon, Mississippi Waffle House. I, a total loser, came in last place in my fantasy football league. As punishment, I must spend 24 hours in a Waffle House. Every waffle I eat shaves off an hour off the clock. It's 4:07 p.m. Central Time. Shannon, I think this is so creative on multiple levels. First of all, what a fun, not so subtle slam on a Waffle House that you've got to spend your punishment in a Waffle House for 24 hours. But the further creativity of this punishment that I love is, all right, if you don't want to spend 24 hours, each waffle you eat can shave an hour off your punishment. So theoretically, if you just go in there and eat 24 waffles, you can go home, which also is, even if you like waffles, that's rough. That's punishment. That ain't easy. So I think it's creative. I think it's funny. You know, you and I and Tanner and others, you know, we've done things where in a bet, you got to wear the other team's colors. I've had to, you know, wear Mavericks gear on social media. But this takes it to a whole new level. Shannon, the next time you and I determine a punishment for a fantasy competition, we might have to model something after this.
Yeah, it'd almost have to make it Texas edition and be
yes.
a Whataburger. Because I don't know where this guy is, but Waffle House is like one of the few places that is open 24 hours.
True.
A day. But for all those that have Twitter, go look at this man's thread because he is documenting every moment of this. And the last few I saw were from a couple hours ago. I think he's eaten 7 waffles or is still on his 7th because he said it's the hardest one yet. But he said, right now I'm on pace to leave at 10:07 a.m. Central Time. So I think he's still there.
Wow.
Pretty incredible. I don't know that I would commit to this if this was the punishment. I don't know when this punishment was decided. But also, like, he posted a picture of his Week 8 roster. And he had Carson Wentz, who defeated the Cowboys that week, but he did throw 2 interceptions and only 120-something yards. And, I mean, he had Nelson Aguilar, like a bunch of names that you're like, how did you get stuck with these people?
Yeah.
So that, he I think he deserved this
Yes.
to lose his fantasy for sure. I don't think it was a close call. He probably lost in a landslide. But I do love this, and the best part about these punishments is that they're all in good fun.
Yeah.
No one's getting hurt.
No.
His stomach might hurt, but he'll get over it. I think I've never been to a Waffle House, so I couldn't tell you about the waffles. I don't know if they're Belgian. I don't know if they're more Eggo-like. He did mention that I guess 4 waffles equals 2,000 calories. Because he noted that after he downed waffle number 4. So dude's gonna need some, I don't know, like a good run after this. But I think it's fantastic. I think we need more of this. I did you ever watch The League?
The League?
FX?
I did not.
It's a great show. I think it's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's great for binging. It's very funny. A lot of comedians in it. But the whole premise of the show is this group of friends who every year they play fantasy and they have a winning trophy and then they have a punishment every year and it's fantastic.
Wow.
And one of the punishments was like or to win like they got to name one of their friends' kids. Like, and then of course the name is ridiculous.
Wow.
Like it's a hilarious show. And I think it really helped build up some of these punishments that we're now seeing take place in real life. So if for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's one of my favorites now on Netflix or Hulu, I believe.
Well, and as Shannon mentions,
so, high five to you, sir. I wish I could help you eat the waffles. Actually, now I really want waffles right now. Lee
Sanderlin is his name. And how cool, Shannon, for this guy, if he's paying attention, and I'm assuming he is because he's got his phone and he's tweeting. He must be realizing that he is now trending on Twitter. I mean, one thing to have a punishment, it's another one to do it. And he's in Mississippi, Brandon, Mississippi, at a Waffle House. And, he probably hoped this might trend on Twitter, maybe, but my God, it's blown up. And as you say, and we highly recommend, and I did tweet out his original tweet, as Shannon recommends, go click on that tweet and scroll down and follow the thread. It's hilarious.
Okay, we've got an update because
he
just tweeted, the sun is rising. It's a new day, and I'm never eating waffles again. This was 10 minutes ago. That's 9 waffles in 15 hours in this restaurant. Shout out to the staff for letting me hang out on a slow night. I tipped them well. Don't worry. This was horrible, and I recommend no one ever do this. So he is a free man.
Wow.
Free bloated man.
Yes.
Probably gonna get to know his bathroom pretty well in the next 24 hours of his life.
Please don't tweet from there. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Well, and even, I mean, this is even brilliant and great PR for Waffle House.
Yeah, they probably love it.
Yeah. Even though on a certain level you can say, all right, this is probably a slam on Waffle House. This is probably saying you don't want to be there for 24 hours, forced to eat waffles.
But
if you want to.
Where he is, what else is probably open 24
True.
hours?
Yeah. So if we did a Texas version, what, Taco Cabana? I mean, I don't know. What else?
Burgers 24 hours, or is that just the drive?
I think at like 2 a.m, I think they close the lobby, and I think it goes drive-through only. So we'd have to find. Now in San Antonio, we've got these Jim's coffee shops that I pre-COVID, and I think now again are 24. But I don't. It would have to be something that's in Austin and San Antonio.
We have a local taco place that is a 24-hour taco place over on Airport. That I know of, but I don't like, when I was younger, I could put away a meal or 2.
Yeah.
Right? I had a whole leg. I was very active in sports all the time, so I could just go. I can't do that now. I get full. I purposely order things at restaurants that I know will make good leftovers because I'm not going to eat it all.
Now, Jason Paniagua.
If I was having to do this and sit there for 24 hours.
Yes. Well, and see, that's why I love the little out you have. If you eat something, you can shave time off your sentence.
Crying.
Yeah.
Corner.
Yeah. Jason Paniagua on Facebook Live suggesting Buc-ee's. Now that's interesting because that one near San Marcos, if you and I had a competition and the loser had to go to Buc-ee's for 24 hours.
Where would you sit? Is there a place to sit other than
probably
outside?
It's a good question. Probably not. But that's I like the suggestion. Coach A, Paul Alexander, talking everything sports with us coming up. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. Michelle Johnson with IHOP. I like that. IHOP is a great idea. I guess we would flip it to pancakes. You would have to eat, I guess, and maybe even like more than one pancake. Maybe like a pancake platter or serving. Joseph says there's a couple of gyms in Austin. All right. It's a possibility. Chris Gonzalez saying Mama Margie's is open 24 in San Antonio. Ooh, speaking of 24 hours, Mitiera downtown. Now, that would not be punishment for me. That would be blissful if I had to spend 24 hours eating at Mitiera. Denny's, there you go, John Williams. Denny's is open everywhere. Good point. Yeah, God, I love Mitiera, Joseph. A couple of times, my wife and I have done the New Year's celebration downtown. So like ring in the new year and then amid the crowd and the sea of humanity, make our way to Mitiera and ring in the new year with a spectacular Mexican food breakfast / dinner / New Year's Noshathon. But yeah, and Mitiera, my God, it's been there forever. Like what, since the 1940s? I think it was there during World War II or something like that. Gordon from Port Aransas, where he is celebrating his anniversary, writes, too bad Fred's Fish Fry is not open 24/7. That would be punishment to eat there. See, that again, I do kind of like that too. The place you eat at should be part of the punishment. So, Dave Emilio Castanuela says, good morning. How about Game 7 for the Nets? Man, whoever you're pulling for in that series, and I'm pulling for the Bucks, just too many Spurs ties to that Bucks team, and they're underdogs, certainly, in Brooklyn. Although I think Brooklyn's going to win Game 7. Game 7s are so much fun. So we get one on Saturday night. And we haven't talked about this with Shannon yet, and maybe we will. A little bit of vindication for Mike Budenholzer to send it to 7. You know, it sure looked early after 2 games like it was going to be a sweep. And I heard this as well. This is the round. It's the second round of the playoffs. If the Bucks are eliminated Saturday night, it will be 3 consecutive years being eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. And I think the previous 2 years, I got to look this up. I think the previous 2 years, the Bucks had the best record in the NBA And I think certainly the best record in the Eastern Conference. So, clearly there are those, if the Bucks lose, who will be clamoring for Mike Budenholzer's head as head coach of the Bucks. But to get to 7 against Brooklyn, granted they had injuries. Had they been at full strength, who knows if they'd have done this. There you go. I'm anti-super team. Built, not bought. Go Spurs, go. Yeah, so there's 2 reasons there to like the Bucks and pull for the Bucks. 1, Brooklyn's the super team. And 2, small market. If you're a Spurs fan, it's good. Utah, Salt Lake City. It's good for these smaller market teams to thrive and advance. So yeah, I'm there. And I said this yesterday, especially if the Bucks lose, I'm really becoming enamored with the Phoenix Suns. They had not been in the playoffs since 2010. Chris Paul's never been this deep. Monty Williams going through a huge personal tragedy just a few years ago. Lots of reasons to like the Phoenix Suns. And, of course, tonight, we're hoping Utah beats the Clippers. Clippers can close out Utah. And shockingly now, tonight, Atlanta can close out the Philadelphia 76ers, which is crazy. I really got to memorize Haralobos Vulgaris' name because he's now becoming a thing. Haralabos. I said Lobos. It's Labos, to be more accurate. Haralabos. He goes as Bob. You can call him Bob. The Paul Simon song, You Can Call Me Al. Yeah, we're hearing that about Zion in New Orleans as well. And now we're hearing that Zion's family, his parents, did not like Stan Van Gundy. So, yeah. And then you got to wonder, all right, who's courting Zion? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green at Golden State, LeBron in L.A., Kawhi in L.A. if he's still there. Brooklyn, would they even have the cap room to have a 4th superstar on their super team? I don't even know if that's possible financially with a salary cap. Maybe, and then the rest of your players are just minimum salary dudes, maybe. I'm looking at a TV screen, Fox 29, Fiesta fireworks downtown from last night. Sure doesn't seem like Fiesta in June. I'll take it. But it's so weird. All right. Paul's ready, correct? Yeah. Thanks. Here we go.
Now, Chris Duel.
The weekend has arrived. That means the sports weekend has arrived. So much going on. A game 7 will be gifted to us tomorrow night between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Couple of game 6s tonight, which could lead to game 7s. Atlanta up 3-2 hosting Philly tonight. Clippers up 3-2 hosting Utah tonight. Of course, Austin FC, their home opener at Q2 Stadium in Austin. U.S. Open Championship. So much going on in the world of sports. And on a Friday, every Friday, we can grab him. We love doing it on the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. He has done it all in the world of sports and news and broadcasting, both as an anchor, a reporter, a host, and an executive, including stints in Austin, where he covered the Texas Longhorns, spent a lot of time in San Antonio, where he is back now in San Antonio and launching the amazing website, Radically Rational. In fact, right now, if you go to Facebook, I highly recommend you go to the search engine on Facebook and pop Radically Rational into the search engine there, and you can see what all the excitement is about. He is the coach, Coach A, Paul Alexander. How are you on this Friday?
Chris, Shannon, good morning. Doing very well. Hope both of you are as well, and happy weekend.
Yeah, happy weekend. And you now are in San Antonio, and I've got local television on in San Antonio, Paul, and all kinds of fiesta coverage. I mean, although I'm all for fiesta, and I love any fiesta, really weird to be seeing fiesta happening in San Antonio in the month of June.
Weird is exactly the right word for sure. My wife and I were discussing that last night. You know, it's so great that Fiesta's returning, and I think it speaks volumes about the spirit of San Antonio that it was rescheduled. To say that it's weird is an understatement. We're going to go to the parade Monday night, and apparently it's going to be kind of warm, but that's all right.
Well, we will move into sports, Paul. We love talking sports with you, and you know, while we often talk football, and I won't let you get away without talking football, man, the NBA, just especially this week and in the last 48 hours, both on and off the court, has just been very volatile. And the biggest story off the court now, the Dallas Mavericks, it was like 3 days ago, for the first time ever, Paul, I heard the name Haralabos Vulgaris, who is a former gambler who Mark Cuban hired as an analytics guy in 2018, who has amassed more power within the Mavericks organization. So 2 days ago, I read in The Athletic that Luka Doncic doesn't really get along with this guy. Then yesterday, we hear that Donnie Nelson, the 24-year general manager of the Mavericks, parted ways with the Mavericks. Then yesterday, a guy who coached the Mavericks to a championship, Rick Carlisle, says, I think I'll step away as well. What do you think's going on with the Dallas Mavericks?
Is it just me, or is this kind of parallel to what we've seen with the Houston Texans in the NFL?
Yeah.
Analytics guy comes in, and then everything starts to crumble. It's clear here, and I'm not even griping about this. It's just the way things are right now. But Doncic is running this show. Okay? I mean, that is completely clear. And, you know, once Donnie Nelson stood down, et cetera, and was no longer involved with the organization, I think at that point, Rick Carlisle kind of saw the tea leaves there and the writing on the wall. He's gone to great extent, great pains to say that he still has a wonderful relationship with Mark Cuban. And Cuban is kind of a blessing and a curse. I mean, everybody who's ever worked for him says that he's an incredible boss, very generous and supportive, etc. But that can be a bumpy road. And I think Carlisle just decided that after 13 seasons that it wasn't going to get any better and it wasn't fulfilling, and he didn't want the relationship to deteriorate any further. So I kind of respect that. But it's just the way things are, especially in the NBA right now.
I'm going to turn the conversation over to the NFL because I just can't take it when my Mavs are just crumbling right before my eyes. I want to get your thoughts here, Coach, on Cole Beasley. He went off on Twitter yesterday. Of course, practice and mini camps are happening right now around the NFL. Lots of players are taking part. We're also getting notes on percentages of players that have been vaccinated. Cole Beasley, one of the players who hasn't. And yesterday he took to Twitter and tweeted, "The Players Association is a joke. Call it something different. It's not for the players. Everyone gives me the 98% of people who are vaccinated don't get COVID again. The odds of me getting in the NFL playing for 10 years are lower than that, and I'm here." So he's using percentages from two things completely not related to kind of justify why he hasn't been vaccinated. I don't know how that comes into play with the Players Association, but your thoughts on the comments he seems to keep making and bringing up during this time.
Well, first of all, just real quickly, I never knew they were your Dallas Mavericks, so be proud of me. I did not refer to them the way I traditionally do as the hated Dallas Mavericks. I was showing you respect there. With respect to Cole Beasley, this is a different dude, and I get it. This is a guy that's had to fight for everything he's gotten in that sport. He was not highly recruited as a high school player. He played at SMU. He plays in the slot. He's a little guy like Welker and Amendola, and he gets the snot knocked out of him between the hashes, and I get that. And he was not highly regarded going into the NFL, and he had to fight for everything. He became an outstanding player with the Cowboys and certainly was a pivotal part of what the Bills did last year and what they should do going forward. So this is like a long preamble saying that I really respect Cole Beasley, number one. And number two, Cole Beasley, shut the hell up. You're dead wrong.
Paul, and I agree with you as well. And this is why I think on a couple of levels, Cole Beasley needs to check out some of your radically rational videos. The first one is what Shannon just alluded to in his tweet last night was, well, they say that 98% of the people who are vaccinated, will be absolutely fine with COVID. Well, the chance was a lot less of my making it into the NFL, so I'm good. What the hell kind of a weird false equivalency and comparison is that? My God, I believe Kyrie Irving would probably approve of that analogy. That blew my mind from the get-go.
Yeah, let's just say that those two Venn diagrams do not intersect at any point. Look, Cole, here's the deal. The NFL is not insisting that you get vaccinated. Okay, I think, frankly, that's kind of a questionable decision. But, okay, the NFL is giving players latitude. You do not have to get vaccinated. It is not mandatory. On the other hand, if you don't, we're going to have separate protocols for vaccinated players and non-vaccinated players, and that makes all the sense in the world, and the NFL would be irresponsible if they didn't do that, and Cole Beasley does not have a leg to stand on. Again, you're a tough guy. I like your scrappiness, but he's always kind of, and you will recall this, folks, with his time with the Cowboys, pretty edgy dude, really doesn't like authority of any kind. Has a wife who doesn't like authority of any kind. So this is just kind of Cole Beasley being Cole Beasley. So I'm not one of these people who's ever going to say anything like shut up and dribble or shut up and catch the ball or shut up and run the dig route between the hashes. But Cole Beasley, you're dead wrong.
I love it. When he left the Cowboys, I was a little upset, and now I'm okay with it. I'm okay with him being gone. Now, focusing in on the Cowboys, Vin DiNucci was quoted as saying yesterday that last year wasn't him, right? He got a lot of heat for not playing up to, I guess, Cowboys standard or NFL standards, right? He was a rookie, and I guess, Dak gets hurt. We have Andy Dalton. He probably never expected to take the field, much less start a game. Were we too hard on him last year? And was there any sign that you saw from him that he could play better and be a viable option? Should we need to go somewhere else other than Dak, say he gets hurt again?
I think your point is laser focused here. I mean, if you're in that position, if that's the role that you find yourself in the NFL, you've got to be prepared all the time. You can't afford to have a bad day. And I do admit to kind of rolling my eyes whenever I hear an athlete say, well, that wasn't really me. Well, then who the heck was it? Okay, was this your evil twin or something? I don't want to be too hard on anybody. If he's seen the light here, if he realizes the whole key is that you've got to be prepared each and every day. And you've got to shine not only in every practice, you've got to shine in every meeting. Okay, and if he's had an epiphany, if he's come to that realization, that's a good thing and that's a step forward. So I don't want to dog anybody about that, but you got to realize that particularly in the NFL, this idea of that wasn't really me or I wasn't quite prepared, well, you may not have a second chance.
We are talking sports and for the moment football with our good friend Coach A, Paul Alexander of Radically Rational. And Paul, piggybacking a little bit on what Shannon just brought up, and that would be backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. For the longest time last year, I just felt that the Cowboys were not doing their job. I mean, we look at the NFL over the last 20, 25 years. Rarely does a starting quarterback get through all 16, now all 17 games in the National Football League. And if you want to keep winning, you need a very good backup quarterback. For the longest time, it was Cooper Rush. I was never a believer in Cooper Rush. Now he's part of a mix in headed into training camp. Right now, we're looking at Ben DiNucci, Garrett Gilbert, and Cooper Rush. Do you think, Paul, and you are a longtime Cowboy fan, you're a Cowboy analyst, you're a Cowboys historian, do you think the Cowboys should have a better, more viable option at backup quarterback going into this season, even though Dak is back, but we know things can change in one play?
Yeah, I really do. And I love the analogy that you made, harkening back to last year, because if nothing else, as Cowboy fans, we thought, hey, this backup quarterback thing is taken care of. Andy Dalton, all right. Not only a starter in the NFL, but a good starter in the NFL, you know, a playoff quarterback. And when he stepped in initially after Dak's injury, he was pretty rusty, but we saw signs at times last year that Andy Dalton is still a legitimate NFL quarterback. He felt really good about that situation. Now, fast forward to this year, and it's much shakier. This is totally speculative on my part. Part of this may be semi-emotional, but I do look at quarterbacks. I would actually feel pretty good about Garrett Gilbert. I really do. And you look at the way he handled himself in these other leagues, you can look at a quarterback and tell when he's in control and tell when he knows what he's doing. And Garrett Gilbert kind of throws off that vibe and kind of radiates that. So he's not only the guy that I think will emerge in that role, he certainly would be the one that I hope emerges in that role.
As we know, Andy Dalton didn't last long with the Cowboys. He is now with the Bears, and he has been named the season starter over rookie quarterback Justin Fields. Given what we saw from Andy last year and the craziness that has been the quarterback turnover for the Bears as of late, do you see Andy being the starter throughout the year, or kind of like Miami Dolphins last year with a Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tua Tagovailoa? You get the first couple games. If you're not getting anything done, we're going to throw a rookie in and get him going in his NFL career.
Shannon, very much the latter. And that's okay. I mean, I think the Bears are handling this pretty well. Of course, Fields makes a statement yesterday that he's fine with it, which I believe. But if they get off to a slow start at all, and I can't see them blazing out the blocks, they will make the move. So if I were placing the over-under on when Fields gets the job, it would be week 7, and I'd probably bet the under.
He is Coach A, Paul Alexander. And Paul, I know we started with the NBA and went to the NFL, but I want to bounce back for a moment to the NBA and something that Shannon and I have been talking about this morning. And it's actually been a topic of conversation for a number of weeks. And now that there's another head coaching opening in the NBA, we're now up to 7 head coaching openings in the NBA. And, maybe because we're from San Antonio and Austin, maybe because we have seen a lot of Becky Hammon, but, we talk about her in Texas, but I also pay attention to the national media. I hear Dan Patrick this week talking about her on his national radio show. And I've got to believe, just from a sheer numbers game, the more coaching openings there are, the higher the probability that a woman will be offered a head coaching opportunity in the NBA. And I'm seeing it mentioned nationally this season more than I've seen it before. And with another analogy here, Paul, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. I used this earlier in the week. Do you want to be Neil Armstrong or do you want to be Buzz Aldrin? And the reason I use that is, if Becky is offered an opportunity, and we hear she's going to be interviewed by the Portland Trail Blazers and by the Orlando Magic so far, those are the two we've heard of. Granted, if Orlando offers you an opportunity, maybe that's not the most stable franchise to go to. Maybe you would be better served staying in San Antonio. Pop is 72. He'll be 73 in January. You got to believe he steps aside at some point. But again, do you want to be the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, or do you want to be the second, Buzz Aldrin? And Buzz is cool. I love Buzz. Don't get me wrong. But do you think part of the calculus here, Paul, for Becky Hammon is, does she want to make history? If she's offered a head coaching gig and you are advising her, do you say take it wherever it is, or do you maybe look big picture and stay in San Antonio?
Well, I think, first of all, she is eminently qualified, and she has earned the opportunities that she's going to get. And this is not tokenism, and it's not social engineering, and it's not somebody just trying to make a splash. These teams looking for a good head coach. And there is no question that Becky Hammon would be and will be a good NBA head coach. But I really hear what you're saying. And I think the first thing, and again, this is just Paul Alexander ripping here. I mean, I don't know how she's going to handle this, and I respect it, whatever it is. But you got to have a pretty good feel for where you stand in the Spurs organization and what the timetable is here and what Pop's plans are. And if he steps down in the near future, are you the leading candidate? Okay. And you can't just walk into somebody's office and get them to promise that and sign a paper, et cetera. But you can get a pretty good feel for that. And that might be a really good option if it's imminent, because she's so well respected in the organization. She's so well respected in the city. People know her here. I think people largely would accept that and be happy about that. So, yeah, we see this in head coaching jobs throughout sport. Do you want a job or do you want the job? And since you mentioned this, if it was the Trailblazers and they offered you the job, that'd be pretty hard to turn down. But I love the whole Neil Buzz thing for sure. She's going to have opportunities, and I think people feel the most free when they have options. And she's clearly going to have options. And you talk about somebody who has, paid her dues and really gone through the process and really checked all the boxes. So at this point, I just view her as a very viable NBA head coaching candidate, period. So I don't know. The good news is she's got some options. The bad news is, not really bad news because you have options, but she's going to have some decisions to make. And one of the reasons why she's in the position she's in is because she is a very rational person. And I'm sure she will make a rational decision about this, just like she does about everything.
Well, and Paul, as we say goodbye to you and you use the term rational, we are on Radically Rational Watch. Of course, you've had a huge presence on Facebook, and I've been encouraging people to do as I do. Go pop Radically Rational into the search engine on Facebook. And I know you're very close to launching this very high-octane 21st century website. Any update on that, when that website's going up?
Is sitting there and it's spinning liquid oxygen on the launch pad. We're just waiting to hit the button here. So it's imminent. Even very successful Saturn V launches occasionally had a hold in the countdown. We got a small one here, but let's say within days.
All right. As soon as I know, I'll be putting that out on my social media as well, Paul. What was it? Alan Shepard who said, let's light this candle. One of the Mercury astronauts wasn't happy that the fuse wasn't being lit quickly enough. So I love the Saturn V analogy. Paul Alexander is a great follow on Facebook. Again, go look for Radically Rational on Facebook. You can find Paul Alexander as well on Facebook. Paul, have yourself a great weekend. We will talk again next week. We always appreciate it, sir.
Have a good one, and maybe today DeChambeau and Koepka will actually get in a fight and hit each other with 5 irons. I can't wait.
That is my dream, actual physical violence. Not that I support that, but just between Koepka and DeChambeau, Paul, that would be must-see TV. Thank you so much. Coach A, Paul Alexander. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. Shannon's been extra salty this week. Let's see if that trend continues on this Friday, June 18th. We'll also bring you this day in sports history and sports birthdays. Coming up just after 8 o'clock, James Allen with the Pro Football Hall of Fame and your final chance to win Eric Clapton tickets this week. As we've been giving them away all week, Clapton coming to the Frank Irwin Center in Austin on September 15th. Jeremy Fouts is your soundscape stylist. She is Shannon. I am Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Anthony, that's a great question. That's a really good question. Would you take Becky over Rick Carlisle? Let's say Pop retires now in a year and Rick Carlisle is sitting out there. I would take Becky. You know, we talked about Mike Budenholzer as well, if he becomes available. I think Becky's kind of the next generation. I think Becky has a certain fire and a certain gravitas. And you kind of, with Rick Carlisle and if Mike Budenholzer became available, we know what we're getting with them. And they're both very good. I don't know if we would put either of them into great category. Greg Popovich is great. Rick Carlisle is very good. Mike Budenholzer, although unlike Carlisle, has not yet won a ring. He could still do that this year. Budenholzer is very good. You know, Becky, you roll the dice on Becky, she might just be great. So I would, because she's kind of had this on-the-job training under Pop, I would lean Becky at this point. Just because there's a chance she might just be the next great coach in the NBA and in San Antonio. And I almost think, depending on how the younger Holtz who now run the franchise, I do like the stability that they've had under Pop for now 23, 24 years, whatever it is. I would hope, you had 2 coaches that were one and done this year. I would hope that they select a coach that they truly believe in and want to have here for a long, long time. And Becky Hammon would fit that bill. And if we're wrong, if it doesn't work out after 3 years, maybe you reassess. Dean Stone, unfortunately, it doesn't matter, great or good. You can get what is available. True, Dean, but you also make the assessment, like if it's those 3, who might be great? Who has a chance to be great? And it's like we know what we're getting with Coach Bud and with Carlisle, whereas Becky's a little bit of an unknown, and you do roll the dice a little bit. And what if she's great? What if? So I'll be right back. All right. Anthony Huerta says it all comes down to how Becky relates to the younger NBA stars. Player mobility is great for players, but bad for teams and even fandom. Not only do you have to coach, you have to figure out how to keep players and their families happy. Great point. Well, and that's, I think, a big argument for San Antonio for her, because she would already have a roster of players who have played for her as a coach. Whereas if she goes to another team, that entire roster for the first time is going to be coached by a woman in all probability. So, yeah, John, I don't control that. So you'll see me here in a second. So see, now you see me, now you don't. There you go. Yeah, I find it fascinating. And I, now that we're at 7 openings and I'm seeing so much talk about it, not just locally, and I understand, we're part of the talk locally, but nationally. Cool. Thank you. We have a Panic at the Disco song. Do you know the artist? Everything has meaning. All things are connected. Say what?
Panic at the Disco.
Yes. Now, don't they spell it, Shannon, with an exclamation? Isn't it Panic at the Disco?
It is.
So,
yeah. It's a casual affair. They've got some good songs. I also sent Jeremy Old Fashioned, and there's another one in there too that I sent. That's pretty good.
This is National Panic Day.
There you go.
So I wonder if Panic at the Disco celebrates this. I mean, they should be.
I mean, if they don't, they should get in on it.
Yeah, somebody on their who runs their social media needs to.
Friday, come on.
Yeah, okay. It's Panic at the Disco should be all over social media today. I'm just saying. There you go. Chris Duel show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Little Panic at the Disco for you. Oh, it's National Panic and Picnic Day. So both with a P. Panic and Picnic. Oh, and apparently it's International Picnic Day. So there's that. Woo! Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown in the 8 o'clock hour. Your final chance of the week to win Eric Clapton tickets. Eric Clapton coming to the Frank Irwin Center. So we'll have that for you. James Allen, our good friend from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, going to join us. You are always welcome to join us on Facebook Live is one way to do it. We're streaming live video on AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook pages. There's a portal into that video from YouTube, from Twitch, and you're able to not only talk with Shannon and with me and with Jeremy, but lots of side conversations, people from across Texas and around the world, actually, which is so cool. Join us on Facebook Live. So you are welcome to do that. Lots to talk about between now and 9 o'clock, including so much going on and off the court in the NBA, NFL football, the U.S. Open, and apparently even more news. We'll get into it involving Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. There was another incident yesterday at the U.S. Open. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Before the Salty Shakedown, some sports birthdays, and this day in sports history. June 18th. On this day in 1977, in the New York Yankees dugout, an altercation, pushing and shoving between the manager, Billy Martin, and superstar Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin get into it in the Yankees dugout on this day in 1977. Billy Martin was a very volatile guy. I liked him. I fired and rehired multiple times by the New York Yankees. On this day in 2000, in the year 2000, which used to be a great Conan O'Brien bit originally created by Louis C.K., but I digress. In the year 2000, the 100th U.S. Open, it was at Pebble Beach, and Tiger Woods was the winner. It was his first U.S. Open victory, and he set a major championship record. Shannon, he won the U.S. Open by 15 strokes. He won it by 15 strokes over Ernie Els and Miguel Angel Jimenez. My God. Tiger was just on fire and in his prime at the U.S. Open 21 years ago today. And in 2017, finally, the U.S. Open at Erin Hills Golf Club, your winner was Brooks Koepka. He won his first major title by 4 strokes over Brian Harman and Hideki Matsuyama. Of course, Hideki won a major earlier this month. Who's got Brooks Koepka in our... Does Andy have him? I've got it here somewhere.
I don't think anybody took him.
Nobody took Koepka? You're right. No, Andy took him. Andy took him with his first pick. You took John Rahm, and Andy took Brooks Koepka.
It makes me feel worse because he's playing pretty well.
Darn it.
I didn't think anybody took him.
Yeah, I will decipher my handwriting, which you see there on Facebook Live of our draft yesterday. I'll decipher my handwriting and I'll post. I meant to send those. Tanner wanted me to send them to him yesterday, and I didn't get to it. Sorry, Tanner. I'll do it later today. That's sports history, and I've got only 2 sports birthdays. Not a big day for sports birthdays on June 18th. Couple of big ones, but just 2. Basketball Hall of Fame center George Mikan. You may not remember his name because he was from long ago. He was born in 1924. He was with the Minneapolis Lakers, but he was an NBA All-Star from 1951 to 1954. He was a most valuable player even before the NBA came together. In the NBL, he was the MVP in 1948 with the Minneapolis Lakers. Before the Lakers moved from Minneapolis to Los Angeles, which to this day, if you think about it, that's a weird name for a Los Angeles sports team, the Lakers. I lived in L.A. Not a lot of lakes in L.A. That's because they came from Minneapolis.
I never knew that.
Yeah, they were the Minneapolis Lakers.
That was always like, what is a Laker?
Yeah, it's land of 1,000 lakes, Minneapolis in Minnesota. Yeah. So that's one of the. It's like the Utah Jazz. You know, they were the New Orleans Jazz, and that made a lot more sense. Anyway, George Mikan, born on this day in 1924 in Joliet, Illinois, home of Joliet Jacob, the Blues Brothers. George Mikan died in 2005. And your second and final sports birthday, this dude was big. Lou Brock, Baseball Hall of Famer, 6-time Major League Baseball All-Star, won the World Series in 1964 and 1967, 8-time National League base stealing leader with the St. Louis Cardinals. He was huge. Lou Brock, I didn't know this, was born in El Dorado, Arkansas. Lou Brock died last year in the year 2020. So happy birthday to the late Lou Brock and the late George Mikan. There you have it, sports birthdays and sports history. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, on this Friday, the salty one, Shannon Salty Sweeney, has been very salty this week. And once again, this has to last you all weekend. Here it is, her Salty Shakedown.
Yeah, Salty Shakedown on a Friday. It's hard because then we go 2 days without. But it's like everything else on the Chris Duel show. It is podcasted. So you can listen to it again and again and again.
Woo!
All right, starting things off today, you talked about Lakers moving, so let's go ahead and start with the NBA and the Pelican problems.
Uh-oh.
You get rumor that Zion Williamson's family is unhappy with how they've been building around him or not building around him, and that maybe when his rookie deal is up, he should maybe look to play elsewhere. Well, on top of that, we're getting reports from The Athletic that of all the NBA teams, the team most likely to relocate would be the New Orleans Pelicans. Their deal currently runs out in 2024. And not only that, in doing some research, I found that when they changed and got sent to New Orleans, that wasn't even their first choice. They first wanted Memphis, but the Grizzlies got Memphis, and then they wanted St. Louis or even another destination in Louisiana, but they ended together at New Orleans here and so the Pelicans now, I don't know, are they going to lose that franchise? The owner, I believe, also has dealings with the Saints, if I'm mistaken.
The Benson family.
I mean, so it's kind of playing second fiddle to them anyway. I mean, Seattle would, I think, love to have a team back there. I can think of other places in the U.S. that would love to have an NBA team. And I don't know that they're necessarily being treated badly. They're just not succeeding, right? They just got rid of another coach, so Zion's going to have to deal with that. I don't know what they do. I'd feel bad for the city for losing them. But right now, these reports that, hey, they could be the team to move if a team does move. Were you thinking that New Orleans, they've only been there since 2002, which to me doesn't seem like that long of a time. I don't know, Chris, your thoughts on the Pelicans possibly relocating. I mean, they even changed their name to the Pelicans to make it more New Orleans friendly.
Yeah, they were the Hornets, as we recall. Now, the weirdest part of it, Shannon, and you alluded to it, the Benson family, Gail Benson, the daughter of Tom Benson, who has since passed away, the same ownership group of the New Orleans Saints, who are wildly successful and knocking on the door every single year, seemingly, of the NFL playoffs, that they own the Pelicans. So, I mean, you've got to wonder, is there a disconnect? Are they better at football than they are at basketball? Is their heart just not in it with the Pelicans? I agree with you. And, still, Hurricane Katrina, I know it was 16 years ago, but my God, that city was devastated by Katrina. It's built itself back up. I would, like you, feel very bad, if not heartbroken, for the city of New Orleans if they lose that franchise. But it is, Anthony, they had a superstar in Anthony Davis. He wasn't happy. He left. If Zion Williamson now leaves, and it sure is looking bad at the moment, this franchise is going to be in utter disarray at that point. So, my God, it's going to be something to keep an eye on.
It certainly is, especially with a name like Zion, who is the face of the franchise. And then also you have the pieces Lonzo Ball. I mean, he's not that bad. A lot of people this year are wishing he was still on the Lakers instead of Kyle Kuzma. So we'll have to keep an eye on that situation. Sticking with basketball, the Phoenix Suns are currently sitting at home just waiting to see who they'll play. They may know at the end of tonight's game against the Clippers and the Jazz, should the Clippers win this and in that series. But Devin Booker's been busy because I don't know if you've seen the video, Chris, of the Suns and 4 fan. He got in a bit of a tussle with some Nuggets fans during that last game. Apparently it was the Nuggets fans who started it. They had some kind of banter going on back and forth, but then the Nuggets fans kind of became irate. He had to defend himself. He ended up defending himself pretty well. I mean, he took a couple of shots at those Nuggets fans before they left running for not their lives, but I mean for the rest of their dignity that they had at that point. Well, Devin Booker took to social. He said, we need to find this guy. They did. So now that Nuggets fan, his name is Suns fans, Nick McKellar. He's been gifted a signed Devin Booker jersey and will be in attendance at one of the finals conference games for the Suns. We've talked about bad fan behavior. I kind of feel like they're rewarding it here a little bit because the dude still, if you've seen the video, I mean, he swung at these Nuggets fans. One in particular, I mean, dude, I think was crying. He was getting hit in the face so much by this Suns fan.
Wow.
I get that he's a huge meme now, right? With him with the 4 fingers in the air, Suns and 4. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, Chris.
I mean, are we absolutely sure the Nuggets fans started it? I mean, on one level, because I mean, if the Nuggets fans started getting physical and throwing punches, and then this guy just took it, I mean, it is weird. But and I'm with you. There is footage of him swinging in a big way, and it does kind of seem to reward his violence. But gosh, I would have to, and I don't fully know, but that the word is, as you mentioned, the Nuggets fans started it.
Yes.
So it's a tough call.
Finished it. I'm just saying. But good for him. He's, that's probably a really hot ticket, especially considering the Suns, not known for their playoff runs. And so I'm sure everyone in Arizona is going to want a piece of that action. All right, finally today, Garrett Cole. We've talked about him and his issue with spider tack, right? He was asked if he's ever used it. It was a yes or no question, and he just fumbled his way through it. Well, we've got some new Garrett Cole audio for you because now that it's come out that the MLB will be suspending pitchers for 10 games, which would really be 2 games that they would miss if they are caught using a foreign substance. Garrett Cole, I guess it's clear he was using spider tack because he really wants the MLB to, I guess, come to an agreement with pitchers on letting them use something to help grip the ball better. Here's Garrett Cole.
I just can't. It's hard. I mean, it's so hard to grip the ball. I just, for Pete's sake, it's part of the reason why almost every player on the field has something, regardless if they're a pitcher or not, to help them control the ball. I think that I don't have a solution, but again, we are aligned in a lot of areas with the commissioner's office on this, and please just talk to us. Please just work with us. I know you have the hammer here, but there's we've been living in a gray area for so long. I would just hate to see players get hurt. I would hate to see balls start flying at people's heads. I had a really tough time gripping the baseball tonight, especially early when it was windy. So
I didn't cheat tonight. It was hard. For those wondering why we haven't been hearing a lot of Astro slander lately, I think it's because of this spider tack thing, because basically every pitcher is coming out and saying, I mean, we've all been cheating. So are we really cheating if we've all been cheating? It's for my health. It's for my safety. I need to grip the ball. I don't know what changes will come of this. I can't imagine the MLB agreeing that some sort of version of spider tack would become legal. They already changed the balls this year so that when they're hit, a little bit more dense, I think is what they made them. I don't know if they allow them to become more rigid, and so there's better friction on them for these pitchers. But at this point, it just kind of seems ridiculous, especially considering Garrett Cole, again, asked plain and simple, yes or no question. Do you use spider tack? No, I don't really. I mean, I don't even know. He went off into outer space with that answer. And then here he is basically pleading to the higher ups of the MLB to meet me halfway. I couldn't do my job tonight because I couldn't cheat. Help me help you by letting us cheat. Please. I mean, if that's not a Yankee for you, I don't know what is. Chris, do you think the MLB should allow some foreign substance for pitchers?
Okay, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I think there's going to be. I'm going to ask you 1, 2. I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
Number 1, do you think kids in Little League baseball are using foreign substances? No, I don't think so. Do you think kids in high school are putting foreign substances on the baseball and using it?
Probably very few.
Very few. And finally, you and I are going to be watching Sunday night. Hopefully everybody listening is going to be watching Sunday night as the Texas Longhorns are in Omaha in the College World Series against Mississippi State. Do you think the Longhorns and Mississippi State, are they going to be using foreign substances in that game? I
don't believe so. And of the games I've seen, there's no signs that tell me otherwise.
See, I don't believe so either. It's called baseball. Garrett Cole, play ball. I know it's a little more difficult when you don't cheat. I know it's better to put Vaseline or spider tack. I know that helps you. And I know you're making multiple millions of dollars, but apparently Major League Baseball wants you to stop. And apparently they want more runs because chicks dig the long ball, which I kind of get. So I kind of feel like get over it, Garrett Cole, and baseball players. I know you've all been doing it, but it's a new day, and go back to your love of you all probably played Little League baseball. You all probably played in high school. A lot of you, many of you played in college. Let's go back to playing baseball the way you played baseball. That's what I would say.
I mean, you're getting paid all that money and you're in the MLB and playing at that level you're playing at because you're supposedly really, really good and you don't need special assistance. If we all got that special assistance, there might be other people playing in the MLB. I mean, even look at football, right? They ruled out foreign substances for wide receivers to catch the ball. That's why some of them wear the gloves that they do, right? Because it helps them get that grip just a little bit better. I think it's ridiculous at this point. It's funny that it keeps getting dragged out, right? I mean, it's like that kid that got sent to the corner and they have to be there for 30 minutes because they got in trouble and they're trying to negotiate with mom. Mom, I've been really quiet. Can I come out now? I've been really good. I haven't done anything in 10 whole minutes. I feel like that's Garrett Cole right now. I don't know. We'll see. That's it. Today's Friday edition of the Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding as always, and very salty once again, Shannon. I don't know what's gotten into you this week, but I mean, you are salty, Shannon Salty Sweeney, but you've been somewhat saltier this week.
I'm a little all over the place, and so because I'm really busy this week with other work stuff going on, so I think you're just getting my immediate reaction, and there's no time for me to dial it back.
It's working. I mean, people are loving it, and highlighted by, and go back and listen to the podcast, folks. Highlighted by your LeBron James takedown. Was that yesterday or the day before?
I think it was yesterday.
Okay, yeah. Yesterday in the first half of the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up, our good friend from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We won't just talk pro football with him because there's so much going on in the sports world. We'll talk a little NBA. Maybe we'll talk some Astros, who are en fuego. Astros scored 10 runs last night. Nobody scores more runs in Major League Baseball than the Astros. We'll get into that and more. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And in the next half hour, your final chance this week to win Eric Clapton tickets. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. John Williams, both. The answer to your question, A, I am a loud talker, but B, I think I was yelling at that moment. So, yeah. I always tell the story, I'm just loud, and I don't mean to be loud. It's just, I'm just loud. I was born this way. I blame it on, I was the youngest of 5 kids. So I think to be heard as a kid, to get an extra pork chop at the dinner table, I had to be a little louder. I think that's a theory. But yeah, I used to, they once forced me into sales in radio. They said, hey, Chris, what? How would you like to stay in radio? I'm in radio. No, how would you like to stay in radio? Yeah, I'd like to stay in radio. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to slash your salary by about 90%, but you can make up for it in sales. We're going to make you a salesperson in addition to being on the radio so you can sell the show. So, okay, I had no choice other than walk. So I had to cold call people. What sucked about it was everybody who was already on the radio or had been advertising on the radio, someone else had those accounts. So I had to find people who either were not advertising on the radio or never had, or had advertised on the radio, but don't anymore because they didn't have a good experience. And I had never sold before. So you had to cold call people. You were supposed to call 20 businesses a day, cold call. They didn't expect you to call. So I called this one lady and I go, she picks up the phone. Hello, so-and-so business. I go, hello, ma'am. I'm Chris Duel. I'm with blah, blah, blah radio station. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about radio. And before I could finish, she goes, excuse me. And I go, yes, ma'am. She goes, could you just stop for a minute? I have lowered my speakerphone down to volume level number 1, and you are still blowing out my speaker. You are so loud. I didn't know that. I didn't know I'm so loud. I blew out this woman's speakers. I don't know, man. So I guess I'm loud. And my first boss in radio, he's no longer living. Great guy, Andrew Ashwood, the gorilla. Some of you will remember him. He was kind of famous in these parts. But yeah, he used to always say, Chris, you need to work on modulating your voice. You're always up here. You're up here. You're up here. You need to take it down here sometimes. Take it down. Take it down. Take it down. Yeah, I'm still 25 years later, I'm working on that. Woo! The gorilla. Jason knows the gorilla. The gorilla is responsible for my radio career. So if you don't like me being on the radio, blame the gorilla, Andrew Ashwood. Chris Duel's Comedy Corner. I don't know what that would be, John, but Joe King Carrasco was loud. Wow. La Semana Alegre. Man, Robert, that was great fun. 2 drinks in my hand. Those were the days. Boom, boom. Out to go. Go to the lice. I don't know. I don't know what you wrote there, Robert. Louder and clean. Thank you. All right, James Allen. Legs Diamond. Gordon Weedman. That's a blast from the past. Legs Diamond at La Semana Alegre during Fiesta. John Savage says, make the batters take their gloves off. It's an aid to them. It's a thought. If you're a purist, I mean, my litmus test was do little leaguers wear gloves? And then do high school players wear gloves? And then do college players wear gloves? Little leaguers, maybe not. Although now, I mean, Little League has become so serious. Maybe they do wear gloves by now. And maybe they are using foreign substances. Maybe there are some dads advising their kids to put foreign substances on the baseball. I hope not. I don't know. Wow, Yolanda. My parents took me to see the Turtles and Paul Revere and the Raiders at La Semana in the 80s. It is amazing. If you look at some of the acts, some of the names of some of the bands who came in through here for events like La Semana Alegre, it's amazing. And just in general, you look at, and Gordon knows this, you look at like some of the bands who played Randy's Rodeo, and, you know, some of these venues around town, you know, like Aerosmith and just so many, you know, and not even to mention, you know, Elvis Presley or Jimi Hendrix. You know, I think Jimmy played Municipal Auditorium. Elvis played, I think, the year of his death, and Gordon may have gone to it. I think he told me once. I think in 77, Elvis played the Hemisphere Arena. But wow, look at that. Gordon's got Kiss, Cheap Trick, Pat Travers, Trapeze, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Wow. Yeah, Sam, I really want the Jazz to win tonight. No Kawhi tonight either. So that's a big deal. Oh, I got to tell Jeremy something. I'll be right back. All right. Gordon says Hendrix performed at the Municipal Auditorium and the Hemisphere Arena. So amazing. And I've seen like ticket stubs and tickets. Like Hendrix was like $5. Elvis was like $7. It just, you look at today's prices, and that was before, ticket brokers exploded. The secondary market. You could actually just go get tickets yourself. Yeah, I remember one night, gosh, this was 1979. The Spurs went into, I believe at the time it was the Eastern Conference Finals against the Washington Bullets, and we camped out all night at the Hemisphere Arena. We brought a little hibachi barbecue. We barbecued. We were in line with hundreds of other people to get Spurs tickets for the playoff series against the Washington Bullets. It was just pre-internet, pre-ticket brokers. You just had to get tickets the old-fashioned way. Here we go.
This is the Chris Duel Show. You know it. Right on through to the other side. Now, Chris Duel.
It is a Friday. It is a beautiful Friday, June 18th. It's not even summer yet, by the way. Did you realize that? Officially, summer doesn't begin until the summer solstice, which I haven't Googled when it specifically happens, usually the 21st to the 22nd of June. So, Shannon, we're still in preseason, even though it's like 197 degrees outside in the afternoon. We're still in I heard Phoenix got to like 118 yesterday.
That's not allowed.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
I mean, I don't like cold weather. I mean, if you said, dude, you can either live in Phoenix or you can live in Minot, North Dakota, I would choose Phoenix. But yeah, 117 is a little much. I'm just saying. Coming up, she is Shannon Salty Sweeney. We'll be joined in just a few moments by our good friend from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Mr. James Allen. Tonight, Shannon, we got a couple of game sixes. Last night, the Milwaukee Bucks broke through and won, stayed alive, forced a game seven. Law of averages, you would think somebody is going to force a game seven tonight. Both teams that have the 3-2 lead are on their home court. So your early game at 6:30, the Atlanta Hawks hosting the Philadelphia 76ers, Atlanta up 3-2. No team in NBA history in the playoffs has blown back-to-back 18 or more point leads. Philly's now done it. An 18-point lead they blew, and then the most recent game they blew a 26-point lead. And then the Clippers, without Kawhi again tonight, will host the Utah Jazz at 9. I can't believe, Shannon, the Clippers would win a second game without Kawhi against Utah, but they're at home tonight, and they got to be the favorite.
Well, currently Vegas has the Jazz as a favorite. It's pretty much a pick 'em. I mean, they've got the Jazz favored by 1.5, and it probably is still due to that Kawhi effect and the fact that we've seen the Clippers just not live up to the moment multiple times throughout the season.
Yeah.
I would like to see that game or series extended because I Jazz to win over the Clippers, but nothing more than that really. And then you mentioned the 76ers. I don't know. Do we blame Doc Rivers? Is he?
A lot of people are.
And Ben Simmons just are not those guys.
Well, and the reality is, I think it's a little bit of both, and certainly Ben Simmons has kind of disappeared in crunch time and throughout each of the last two games. But I feel so bad for Doc Rivers, and I have seen a lot of memes and lists on social media, on Twitter, just listing Doc Rivers collapses over the years. And a guy who was just fired last year by the Clippers, thank you, Kawhi, for him to be going through this again. And we all know Philadelphia fans are god-awful. I feel bad for Doc Rivers.
It's so strange because they are making a run in the playoffs, right? And he's getting fired. It's not like, Van Gundy, who didn't even make the playoffs, and so they said bye-bye.
Yeah.
1 year. I don't know. He's not a bad. I wouldn't hate it if he came to the Mavericks. He's proven he can do it.
Doc Rivers? Yeah. You got to wonder. Yeah. I mean, I've always believed Doc Rivers is a very good coach, but the more you add it all up, and he did win a title with the Boston Celtics, so he's got a ring on his finger. So it'll be interesting to see. Atlanta tonight, and a lot of us really digging Trae Young, and he's like seemingly the next big thing in the league. Golden opportunity for Atlanta tonight on their home floor, up 3-2 to close out the series. It's going to be fascinating to watch tonight.
I would love it, and I would really love it if we have an appearance by Courtside Karen, because we have heard nothing from her.
Gosh, exactly.
This is her time to shine.
And for those of you who may not remember, Courtside Karen earlier in the season,
which was the original poor fan behavior.
Yes, verbally abusing LeBron and others. So Courtside Karen. Let's bring on board our good friend from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of only two Texans on the board of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. One is named Jerry Jones. The other is named James Allen. James Allen, how are you doing on this Friday morning?
I'm doing great. Good morning. Good morning.
Well, and we are, June 18th. I know the big Pro Football Hall of Fame festivities, and arguably the biggest Pro Football Hall of Fame weekend, because you guys are enshrining not only the 2020 class, which is a carryover from last year, and that'll include Jimmy Johnson and Cliff Harris of the Cowboys, but the 2021 class, which will include Drew Pearson, maybe the biggest weekend. Would you say it's the biggest weekend yet or ever for the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, the 50th anniversary was massive, but based on fans, tickets, and coverage, it's far exceeded. It is the biggest one in the Hall of Fame history. Even Commissioner Goodell, we had our big board meeting yesterday, said in the 101 years now in NFL, this is probably one of the biggest events.
Well, and as things continue to open up around the country, even more so than when next year's Hall of Fame inductees were announced, is there anything new or anything coming back from the original Hall of Fame weekends that maybe weren't a part of the original plans, but as things have opened up, they're going to allow? I know one of the things you and I talked about where they have some pretty fantastic buffets that go on throughout that weekend.
They do. The governor of Ohio, actually the chairman of the Hall of Fame, came down here and met with me on some other stuff. One of the things that I'd learned from him first, and we confirmed it yesterday at the board meeting, the governor of Ohio says, look, y'all open everything up. And so we are going to have everything that we've always had for the VIPs, the gold jackets, and the fans that we've always, in the past. The only thing that's going to be a little different this year is because there's so many people going in, we're limiting the speeches to 6 minutes, and it's a hard 6. We have kind of the band playing kind of thing, and then not Big David Baker, our president CEO, he's like 6'9", 400 pounds. He's going to gently come out and push him off. But it's funny, Peyton Manning, of all the people who turn their script and have it down, just typical Peyton Manning, he already has it down. And Jimmy phoned his in and says, Mike's 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the only, what I would consider a big change that we've had in the past.
That's going to be very fascinating. Jimmy Johnson, always direct and to the point, wrapping up that speech in 2 minutes. It's going to be fun to watch coming up in August. James, Shannon brought this up earlier in the show, and just want to get your thoughts talking about the NFL for a moment. Cole Beasley, former wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. He has moved on to the Buffalo Bills. Actually quite successful now as a receiver for the Buffalo Bills, but always outspoken. In fact, his wife also always outspoken on social media. He is now on Twitter yesterday, very critical of the NFL Players Association and the NFL for its COVID policy and its vaccination policy. And it seems pretty reasonable to me. The NFL is saying, those teams that are vaccinated and players that are vaccinated, they will have more openings, more opportunities to do more things, to have more meetings, to have more freedom if you're vaccinated. And Cole Beasley seeming to come out against this. When we think about the NFL, how volatile do you think this could be? Because certainly there are anti-vaxxers out there, and just given the percentage of the population, there's going to be some of those in the NFL. Do you see this as something that could really cause some division among the ranks in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't see a lot of traction to Cole's. I love Cole. His odds of making the NFL were anorexic. He's a tough kid. Met the guy, love him to death, love to watch him play. However, it's easy to get lost as a player, what the role is. And people, what's the old Bob Dylan song, you have to serve somebody? People forget the NFL gives out franchises like McDonald's. And Jerry Jones has a franchise. Then Jerry Jones has a general manager, then a coach, and then you're a player. And you really have to, you just can't walk into iHeartMedia, you and Shannon, and say, hey, we're just going to do this. And iHeartMedia says, no, we're not. Then you would be, as they always say in the NFL, what NFL really stands for is not for long. And so, it's very, look, this is the rules of the game. There are a lot of more cerebral thought in this. I think Commissioner Goodell, along with the commissioner of the NBA, have kind of led the pack on this. And dare say the NFL has taken the hard lead. This is, you have to show up for work. And these are the rules you have to do. And you're welcome to voice your opinion. However, you're just going to, you don't want to cause too much attention because it's caused, as you and I talked about so many times, the culture inside the locker room is what, is the bigger concern. So, you are under the NFL umbrella. That is your boss. You're under a franchise. You're working for that McDonald's owner. And, he's got a general manager, coach, and you're a player. And that's just the job things you're going to do. If you don't want to do it, then you don't need to go to show up for work. It's just that simple. And I'm not on Cole's side or not against Cole's side, but, that's what the guys in New York decided to do and pass it down to their franchise holders. And that's the groundwork that has to be laid. But, I understand his frustration. However, that's what you have. If iHeartMedia said something, tomorrow and you, Shannon, said, we're out, we're not going to do it. Well, I'm going to miss you guys on the radio. That's just reality. I mean, even Bob Dylan said, if you think you're if you're Jeff Bezos, what does Bob Dylan say? You have to serve the devil and the Lord. You have to serve somebody. So I think that's the global picture at this point.
I love the McDonald's comparison there. And, like most athletes, they work in their franchise, right? But they do have other deals. A lot of them get endorsements. It'll be interesting to see if anybody either loses endorsements or gains endorsements based on how vocal they are and what side they're kind of taking based on COVID. But one guy who just got a huge endorsement deal, we didn't get to talk to you about it last week, so I'm going to talk to you about it now, Mr. James Allen, was our guy Dak Prescott, jumping ship from Adidas to Jordan Brand. I think this is huge, because of Jordan Brand's recent growth by nabbing bigger superstars, but really them moving into the NFL world and to grab not only Dak Prescott, but the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Your thoughts on that move for Dak and Jordan Brand?
Well, the Cowboys, Jerry and Jones aside, I mean, Cowboys are still this huge brand, even though they haven't been really winning for a long time, post Jimmy Johnson. However, they just are that brand. And you have a quarterback who, during all this, and no offense to Aaron Rodgers, these other people, he stayed quiet. He let things happen the way he did. And it's a great thing. I mean, Dak has shown, and that's what these people care about. That's why they throw you the big money to represent their brand. And Dak, did what he had to do. He made his business decisions, but he kept it out of the media. He stayed relatively quiet on the deal, was a great guy about it. And the big guys like Mike Jordan, who's pretty smart, very smart businessman, and as people around him said, hey, this guy is a guy that's brand safe. We're going to throw a lot of money at him. And Dak is, he's reaping those rewards for taking the long haul in this whole situation.
Yeah, and before I ask you a Dak Prescott question as it relates to Tony Romo, the Dallas Cowboys and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're going to go ahead now as we approach 8:20. We usually do this at about 8:20. We're going to do it a little bit early. Now is the Eric Clapton ticket giveaway. We're going to give away some Eric Clapton tickets. We've been doing this whole week. Eric Clapton is coming to the Frank Irwin Center on September 15th. And Shannon, as always, you do the honors and determine which lucky caller gets these Eric Clapton tickets.
I'm going to go caller number 10 today because it's Friday and I want to make people work on a Friday. So caller number 10, 1-800-707-9760 for Eric Clapton tickets at the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas, September 15th, 1-800-707-9760.
Well, and think about it. If you're caller 10, if you're like caller 1 or 5 and you're not in yet, you can hang up and call back. Hit speed dial, call back. Before I go back to football, James Allen, you've been talking Bob Dylan this morning. Are you an Eric Clapton fan?
I am a huge Eric Clapton fan just because he's done it. It's so hard to do anything in your profession, whether it's radio, TV, anything for a long period of time. And he's done it. You know, he's battled a lot of things. Of course, his son dying was a major deal. And Eric just keeps showing up. And I, you know, again, he's one of the best guitarists of all time. So I'm a big fan of that. And quite candidly, I was going to hang up the phone and call in and then get back on the phone with you. But I know I don't have that time. But yeah, if you're not a fan, you really should go see him because he's just been around for so long. And he's such a professional, and he's really into his music, and it'd be a concert that's very rare, and people should go see that.
Very, very cool. All right, Shannon asked you about Dak Prescott, and I want to relate this. You are with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You're on the board. All right, Tony Romo. We've talked about him before. Put up great numbers, but I think most people assume he's probably not Pro Football Hall of Fame material. Some people think he is. I understand that. Yet, had he won one Super Bowl, if he had a ring on his finger, I don't think there would be a debate. You'd look at his numbers plus Super Bowl. I think we'd all be saying it's a matter of time before Tony Romo is in Canton. Same deal, I think, will apply to Dak Prescott. People love him. He puts up great numbers. I know it's still very early in his career, and it's a little ridiculous to even speculate about will someday Dak Prescott be Pro Football Hall of Fame caliber. But I would argue if he does do what Romo did not do, what Rodgers did twice, what Troy did 3 times, and that's win a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys, I believe his stock rises infinitely as far as going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Do you think Dak Prescott, James, looking at a Danny White, who had great statistics and a great career otherwise, and Tony Romo, who had great statistics and a great career otherwise, yet failed to do what Rodgers and Troy did, how much extra pressure do you think is on Dak Prescott to deliver a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys?
I think any quarterback in that league, I mean, it's the toughest position, I think, just from, especially at a high level, and especially with this big salary. Guys don't reach that position without being tough on themselves. So I think Dak's probably tougher on himself than he is on anything else. There's no question he's shown he can handle it. As far as the Hall of Fame, Tony wins 1 Super Bowl. I think his stats are very good. You talk about Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's a pretty tough threshold. If you win a couple 2 Super Bowls, yeah, you're in the discussion. And if Dak wins a Super Bowl or maybe 2, sure. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, Dak, when you get a big salary like that, it's really pressure in the locker room. Guys, you gotta, everybody knows you're getting paid. So that's more of the issue I think Dak's gonna have to handle. But I think he's shown through all this negotiations and franchise tax and being whipped around and Ezekiel getting paid, everything else, he's
called the MVP edition, and not one but 2 quarterbacks on that cover, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. 2 things occur to me, James. Number one, should either of these quarterbacks be afraid of the Madden jinx? Over the years, players who have been on the cover of the Madden game have often fallen to injury or had a bad season afterwards. Secondly, it's called the MVP edition, and the reigning MVP is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, who was just on a Zoom call for his golf match coming up with Tom Brady and a couple of great golfers, had a T-shirt that said, "I'm offended." So question number one, do you think Brady or Mahomes are concerned about the Madden jinx? And secondly, do you think Aaron Rodgers might be offended that he's the MVP and he's not on the cover of the MVP edition?
As you know, and Shannon knows, that a quarterback to make it through all 16, 17 games without being hurt, they're always hurt, just so you know. And so that has nothing to do with that. So that's just statistical probability. So no, they're not concerned about that. And if you look at Patrick Mahomes, what he was supposed to, came out of, Tech and really not recruited and barely made it there. And, his personality, you see, is very calm. Tom Brady has fought so many naysayers and everything else and stayed calm and worries about his health and his family. There's zero concern with those two guys. As far as Aaron Rodgers, Aaron's Aaron. A lot of his personality is probably coming out. He's always been that way. He did that with Brett Favre, and he was an antagonist. I think Aaron Rodgers is offended at most everything. But go back to what we talked about. If you're a good guy and you do well, the rewards are there. But corporate America doesn't want fun. You are the current MVP, but you're not an MVP brand person when you keep opening your mouth like that. So Patrick Mahomes smiles when he wins or loses. I'm not going to pick on Cam Newton, but when he lost the Super Bowl, he goes up there and really bad. Peyton Manning comes out and, sad, we're a competitor, and then wins it later. It's just, how do you handle, do you react or do you respond? And Patrick Mahomes responds, Tom Brady responds, Aaron's reacting, so I think they kind of shied away from that. So, no, I don't think there's any concern about that, because all these guys are hurt all year long. They really are. So that's just, that's easy to fall into the Madden curse to say an NFL player is going to get hurt. So, there's no concern there by that.
Wow, you said one thing in there that I thought was very powerful, and we'll explore it later and maybe even next week. Aaron Rodgers, you're an MVP, but you're not an MVP brand. I agree with what you just said, and it's a big, powerful, enlightening, illuminating statement. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. James, always outstanding, sir. I know it's a busy, busy time for you as you get ready for the big event coming up in early August. We always appreciate your taking the time. Happy Fiesta, and have a great weekend, James. Thanks for joining us, man.
Shout out to Mom and Dad. My son James qualified for hopefully district today. Shannon and Chris, have a great weekend.
All right, James Allen. Yeah, his son, James, out of Churchill High School, a shot put state qualifying stud in the shot put, coming out of football as well from Churchill High School. Quick break. We will dive back into everything NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NFL. We will scour the internets. Lately, there's been breaking news right before we go off the air involving Chris Paul, involving Kawhi, and some other things this week. So we'll make sure if something is popping that you know about it as we embark upon this Sports Friday. Jeremy Fouts making the show go. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Yeah, Jason, you make a great point. Jim Plunkett, man, he should be in. I totally agree with that. He is the current, if you're looking at one travesty and oversight by the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's Jim Plunkett. And he's one of those guys, I think he's going to get in. I think they're going to recognize, if they haven't already, the voters, the error of their ways. But I hope, we saw it with Ken Stabler, ironically also a Raider. We saw it with Bullet Bob Hayes. Don't put these guys in after they died. I mean, let them, please, get them in and let them enjoy it. Let them be honored, as they should, by their peers while they're around to enjoy it. I here in San Antonio, Mike Mitchell had a great career as a Spur. I think Mike Mitchell, who passed away, and played in the shadow of George Gervin. I think Mike Mitchell is worthy of having his jersey up in the rafters, as is Larry Keenan, who's still with us and lives in San Antonio, number 35. Don Harris of News 4 San Antonio bangs that drum, rightfully so, locally. Those who were around or those who have done the research and know what Larry Keenan did as a Spur, man. And all of those Spurs who played with Gervin, I spoke with Kobe Dietrich, who was an original San Antonio Spur. He said all of us, and they were directed by Bob Bass, the coach and general manager at the time. He said we all would have scored about 5 more points per game, but we were told to defer and get the ball to Gervin because the Spurs at that point were not winning championships, but Gervin was winning scoring titles. And that was a cool thing that put the Spurs further on the map when they would win scoring titles. So I get it. And on a certain level, you know, I understand it. But so even you look at the numbers of a Mike Mitchell or a Larry Keenan, those numbers would have been even bigger had they not deferred a little extra to Gervin, which they were instructed to do. Okay. I told Tanner I would send him the picks, which I have. I'm going to make a graphic of our fantasy golf picks. Right now, it's my chicken scratch. I think I showed it on the camera earlier, but he wants that. And I feel bad because I didn't get it to him. Wow. Randy Vataha, Robert. I can't believe you've got that one. And Randy Vataha also played with Jim Plunkett at Stanford. He was number 18. Plunkett was number 16. And, of course, we all know what happened to Darryl Stingley, who was paralyzed for life at the hands of one Jack Tatum, who never apologized to him. Jack Tatum wrote a book called They Call Me Assassin and paralyzed Darryl Stingley. And Darryl Stingley later died as a result of that paralysis several years later, much too young. But yeah, that was an ugly, ugly episode in the National Football League. John McGee, good morning. Yep, there is Jeremy Fouts. People are saying hello to you on Facebook Live. John McGee, most recently. Your adoring fans. Oh, I'll come to you and ask you the name of the winner here.
Okay, yeah. It was the winner's birthday today, which is fun.
Oh, that's great. Be sure to tell us that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louisa, I am going to tweet it out. I've had a crazy 24 hours. But here's what it looks like now. It's quite indecipherable. Now that's out there. Soundscape stylist Jeremy Fouts, nephew of NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer Dan Fouts. I should have brought that up to James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'll do that eventually. Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Before we ask you the winner of the Eric Clapton tickets, Jeremy Fouts, who are you gracing our ears with there as the return bumper music?
That is the Beastie Boys.
Come on,
Beastie
Chris.
Boys. Was that requested by you, Shannon?
No,
Did you request?
That was all me.
It's just a great choice of music. Jeremy's killing it today.
Wow.
Thank you.
You're killing it, Jeremy.
Are you a fan of the Coen brothers? Either of you two?
Oh,
The-
yeah.
Yeah, the movie making Coen
Do
Brothers.
you like the Coen brothers? There's
Yeah.
a show on Amazon Prime called Patriot, and this is the music for their intro.
Okay.
I highly recommend.
I am always looking for new programming, especially on the weekend. Amazon Prime, Patriot. What is Patriot about?
It is about a CIA agent who needs to get a bag of money from A to B. But
Woo.
along the way, he gets a lot of twists and turns because he has to disguise himself as different things, and he's not very good at it. It's very funny.
Very nice. So, all right. So I will. That, in fact, since it's the weekend, we'll just do this real quick. Then we'll get the Clapton winner from you. So that's your recommendation, Patriot on Amazon Prime. I have been watching on HBO Max. No, it's on Apple Plus. It's on Apple Plus. I'm sorry. Lisey's Story by Stephen King, based on a Stephen King novel. It's a multi-part series. New episodes drop every Friday. So another one drops today. So I think we're up to episode 4 now. Julianne Moore is the lead. It's creepy. It's horror. It's weird. It's out there. Have you? I see you nodding. Have you seen it at all, Jeremy?
I haven't seen it, but I'm interested because I really like horror stuff.
It's good. It's great. And
you
it's,
recommend it?
It's Stephen King, so it's hard to go wrong on Stephen King. Shannon, do you have a streaming recommendation for us?
I mean, you still haven't watched Ted Lasso.
I know. Maybe this is the week.
The most enjoyable show, I think, of the year.
Wow.
Last year, and season 2 is quickly approaching. I think it drops next month.
Wow.
So you'd be just in time. You'd watch it, and
You're
then
right.
be like, "Oh my god, I want more!" And then boom,
Then I'll get it.
Come to you.
I did see, and Ted Lasso is also on Apple TV Plus. I did see the morning show. Is coming. Season 2 is coming in a month or two. So when Apple TV rolled out, the morning show was one of its first big deals, which is really well done. But anyway, season 2 of the morning show is going to come out. Jennifer Aniston. Who's the other lead actress?
Witherspoon.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here.
Carell.
Boom. You got it.
Okay.
Yes.
I've seen the previews. I still haven't watched it.
I highly recommend the morning show. It's very, very good. All right. Moving on. And we'll talk sports in a sec. But first, we'll talk a little Mr. Eric Clapton. We gave away some Eric Clapton tickets. Jeremy Fouts, who was the big winner?
So these tickets for Friday, the 18th of June, went to a Michael Robinson, who informed me that today is his birthday.
Woo!
So happy birthday to him. And I hope he enjoys his tickets.
That is so cool.
He was the 10th caller.
He was.
He didn't try to
I was counting on my
sway
fingers.
you.
No.
You held firm.
Yeah. I'm an iron wall.
I'm caller 9, but it's my birthday.
Mm-mm. Sorry, you should have been caller 10 in your birthday.
Right.
I'm an unwavering wall.
Happy birthday, sir.
Yes.
Happy birthday to him.
Michael Robinson. That's way cool. You win the tickets on your birthday. I like that a lot. All right. One quick, just to underscore what James Allen said on the way out, Shannon, and it made total sense to me about Aaron Rodgers. You are the MVP, but you're really not an MVP brand. That is kind of, I wonder, and I know Packer fans buy his jersey, but if you're not a Packer fan, I can see how if you're not and there are people who love Brady and there are people who hate him. And I've flipped on Brady now that he's older and playing at a high level. I kind of like Brady now. I didn't used to like him, but like him and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, those are guys who were MVPs and acted like it. And I think had fans off the field. It's kind of an interesting point. Aaron Rodgers doesn't really, he's kind of a whiny, troubled diva and doesn't really act like an MVP.
I can kind of see where that comes from. I'm trying to think, Patrick Mahomes has so many endorsements, right? One of which is State Farm, which is also where Aaron Rodgers shines. And I'm like, but I can't think of anything else Aaron Rodgers really appears in.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of a loyalty thing because he's been with State Farm since the discount double check days.
Yes.
Which is got to be like 10 years ago now. So I guess I get it. Like, he's not really a guy that you advertise for because he's not divisive. You just, you like him or you don't. There is no in between. You almost feel disgust or you're me. I mean, I've got my personal issues with him, as we all know. So I get that. And again, like during this time where it's is he going to be a Packer? Or can you put him on the MVP edition of Madden if he's not actually going to be with that team? Is that title not going to end up selling if people don't want to buy it because a guy in a uniform who's not wearing that uniform anymore is on it?
Yeah. That's a great, I didn't think about that, Shannon. They call it the MVP edition. They got Mahomes and Brady on it. I wonder if it was going to be Mahomes, Brady, and Rodgers or some other combination of two of those guys. And maybe because of the doubt about this season with Aaron Rodgers, maybe that's why he was left off.
So the photo shoot was in April.
Okay.
So you have to think they decided on the people, Mahomes and Brady, in March so they could schedule said photo shoot. I don't know where we were with Aaron Rodgers at that point, but I think also, they were both just in the Super Bowl. Both recent MVPs of the league, both recent Super Bowl MVPs, both recent Super Bowl winners, and again, really marketable and for the most part, well-liked athletes.
Yeah.
I think that's your best bet for selling copies of Madden, which I think a lot of people, I know I haven't played in a while because there's really no change in it from year to year, that it's not enough to keep me interested and engaged in just buying a new one because it's the new year, so and so's on the cover. So I think they haven't put two athletes on the cover in 12 years, so I think they're trying to shake it up, and I think I read there may be some changes to the game that people should be excited about.
Yeah, you would think those would be coming, and hopefully they will eventually. The U.S. Open, as we mentioned, or as we talked about a lot yesterday, we did our draft. We each drafted 3 players, and I will, over the weekend, push that out on. I should have done it by now. I just didn't get to it overnight, so I'll do it over the weekend. Put out a list of that on social media, on Twitter. But the gift that keeps on giving, Shannon, Bryson DeChambeau, and Brooks Koepka, apparently after Koepka finished the opening round yesterday, Koepka was being interviewed once again by the Golf Channel. So Bryson DeChambeau photobombed the interview. He jumped into the frame and he waved his arm over the fence behind where Koepka was standing. Clearly, that's a conscious effort by DeChambeau to keep this thing going. So, clearly, if it's a distraction for either one of them, DeChambeau's keeping the fire going here.
Yeah, and DeChambeau said he was, saw the moment and decided to have fun with it. I don't know if Brooks felt the same way. But it's certainly interesting in this tournament. They didn't even finish round 1 because of darkness, and then there was a lot of fog yesterday. I mean, there's a chance that we'll come in Monday and we still won't have a winner because they'll have to finish out this tournament at the beginning of the week. So we'll just have to see. I did, so far, it's not looking great. I know for me, there's a couple of other picks from our field that are not playing Jordan Spieth up to their greatest efforts. The cut line's probably going to be like +4, +5 going into the weekend, it seems, at this moment. So that course is definitely kicking people's butts right now. I don't think they've even started today. So like I said, it may be Monday when we get a winner.
Yeah, Andy Everett with his first pick did pick Brooks Koepka. You had the first overall picked John Rahm. I picked Tony Finau, and Tanner picked Bryson DeChambeau in the first round. So DeChambeau was I think I saw DeChambeau was not exactly stellar in the opening round.
+2, but the other picks you mentioned, our first picks, all under par currently. So
very cool.
Some of them aren't playing too horribly.
So hopefully by later today I'll get those out on Twitter, and we'll push them out via Ticket 760 and AM 1300 The Zone. Big sports weekend, Shannon. We've been talking about it, and certainly in Austin specifically. Tomorrow night, Austin FC opening Q2 Stadium, its first home game at Q2 Stadium against the San Jose Earthquakes. Of course, if you don't have tickets, Shannon, you will be at the High Five location with a watch party, and there are 2 High Five locations. We want to make sure people go to the one that you're going to be doing the watch party at.
Yes, both locations official pub clubs of Austin FC, so both will have the games on, so either will make great opportunities to watch the game. But if you're in North Austin, Central Austin, come hang out with me on the Anderson Lane High Five location. It should be a nice evening, so we can hang out on the patio. It will be hot, especially for those of you going to the games. It is sweaty in that stadium. As I said, someone who went to that U.S. Women's National Team game, I asked them what the vibe was like, and all they responded was thick. So drink plenty of water, but enjoy the game. It's a fantastic stadium, a fantastic atmosphere. Austin FC keeps releasing little details, right? Matthew McConaughey came out to practice the other day and pumped the guys up. They're going to have a special on their jersey. It's going to say like inaugural match. They've got extra patches. The whole thing is just super exciting. It's finally here, the moment so many of us have been waiting for. And like I said, tonight, if you're in the Austin area, look up in the skies, 8:45, Noche Verde, brought to you by Captain Morgan, apparently, going to be lighting up the sky with a drone show. So that'll be at Lady Bird Lake and Congress, supposedly. That's what I'm hearing. It's what's on my calendar. But that's going to be really cool. I'm very excited for that.
And we'll be looking at your social media at Shannon B. Sweeney across
the
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and again, nighttime. Sometimes that's a mixed bag. Whether or not an iPhone can get it. You do have the iPhone. We've established that.
Yeah, and I'm no photographer or anything, so I'll do my.
We'll
best.
see. It might.
You may just have to tune in on Monday to see.
Yeah.
How things shake out. But hopefully, and I'm hoping it's like a long show, and that it's going to be something we do more frequently with other things, because I think that's just an awesome idea. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often.
Yeah,
I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, hopefully it's cool, a huge success, and it'll just keep building and become a thing for before Austin FC games. We did have a poll question. There are now, with Rick Carlisle leaving the Dallas Mavericks, there are now 7 head coaching openings in the NBA. So math would suggest a higher probability that a woman will be hired as head coach in the NBA, maybe this offseason. So we posed a question involving San Antonio's Becky Hammon.
Yes, asking, will Spurs assistant Becky Hammon become one of the new head coaches this offseason? 66% saying yes, the rest saying no. So I think chances are pretty good. But again, it's the right situation. And I think Paul Alexander said it best. Do you want a job or do you want the job?
Yeah, it's a great question. And then make it even more interesting. Do you want to make history? Yeah, I mean, if she knows in her heart, it's like, and I don't doubt that maybe somebody, maybe even Pop, has like let her know when he's thinking about stepping aside and letting her know if or if not she's the one. So imagine if you knew that you might be the one in San Antonio, but you still want to make history and you get offered a job this summer to go somewhere else, but maybe in a year you would have this one. That's wow. What a dilemma she might have. Jeremy Fouts, great job, sir. And you were on fire, as Shannon said, all morning long. We appreciate it.
And I will be back with more fire on Monday.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Shannon, extra salty all week. Everybody loved it. You were spectacular. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to go drink margaritas now.
with salt. Okay, there you go. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Paul Alexander. They are always great. We love those guys. We thank them for joining us. Have yourself a great weekend. Stay safe. Hydrate. Drive, drink, enjoy responsibly, all that fun stuff. We will see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Adios, amigos.